I've got Bob here with 𝗶𝗆 Footwear. Today, we're going to be talking about shoes, and specifically, I'm curious about orthopedic shoes. What are the benefits, or what are the 3 of the 5 things people don't know about orthopedic shoes?
Well, Ryan, that's a great question, and there's a lot of different answers, but essentially, what an orthopedic shoe comes down to is enhancing the way that somebody feels the shoe, that needs to walk, that needs to ambulate, or the ambulate is just a technical word for walking, and they need a little bit extra structure and support. So typically, a orthopedic shoe will have a great heel counter. It'll have a...
When we talk about heel counter, what is that, and what is the benefit to the end user?
So a heel counter stabilizes the back part of the foot. So if a foot is not stabilized in the heel, it can slide off to the right, or it could slide off to the left.
If you're walking, you could actually be sliding around in your shoe.
That's right. So this heel counter, what it does is it helps to keep the heel from sliding one way or the other. So it gives you that kind of support that somebody needs to walk. And if they're walking without support, the heel will kind of swirl around a little bit, and it really won't support the foot.
Okay, and what you can do at home is you can take the shoe that you're wearing now, assuming you've got a shoe on, and just squeeze the back. Does it collapse, or is it firm? Right. If it collapses, then that means that it's not holding the heel in place, if I'm understanding you correctly. And I would imagine you're actually putting a lot of wear and tear, especially if you're walking, let's say a mile. If that foot's moving around during that whole mile, you're probably putting more than a mile's worth of wear and tear on the foot itself.
Yes, a good heel counter and a good heel cup will control the energy that you're putting out, and it'll make you more efficient in your walking. So also, an orthopedic shoe should have a little bit more toe room. So you don't want your toes to be too snug in the shoe or too short in the shoe. So what you want to do is you want to have a shoe that gives your toes room. Right. Now, many people are not used to that, but that's what we have to do, because sometimes if we don't give our feet the kind of room that they need, they can develop problems. They can develop like a hammer toe. They can have a bunion, especially a bunion, or you could have soreness.
Right.
And if you have those type of things, it might discourage you from walking and doing the kind of exercise the way that you want to.
Yeah. And I forget, I read somewhere, and I forget the study, but it's, as I recall, it was somewhere around 80% of adults are wearing either too short of a shoe, so too small of a size, or a not wide enough. And those are going to cause all those problems that you talked about, the bunions, the hammer toes, the corns, all the different foot issues, because you're adding too much pressure. And I guess in an overall nutshell, an orthopedic shoe is really designed to take the load off the foot and properly support it. Right.
So a great fit. We're all talking about a great fit here. So we need room in the toes, and we also need room at the end of the toe. Typically, you want at least a half a thumb of width at the end of the toe, because when you walk, your foot has a tendency to move back and forth. And if you're right at the end of the shoe, that can cause damage, or it can cause pain to the toes.
So I guess a good example would be runners who get black toenails. It's because they're just pushing into the front of the shoe, which is an indication that it's too small. Now, Ron, the owner of DT Footwear, he taught me that if you pull your insole out, or your insert, if you physically pull it out, that you've worn for a while, you should have indents where your toes are. And if they're right up on the edge, that's a good indication that your shoes are too small. They should be back, say, a 1/4 inch or so, approximately. That's a good indication that your feet are actually, or your shoes are properly fitting.
Right. The other thing about an orthopedic shoe, or a shoe that is accommodative, is that they need to accommodate depth. So many times there's folks out there that have a thicker foot, or they have a thicker toe, or they're a wide width. And so most of the orthopedic shoes out there, including 𝗶𝗆, they have the extra added depth. So we will have a removable filler in much of our shoes, so that you can remove this blue filler.
So explain where this goes, and is it just this that you would find in the shoe?
So what we do is we put our fillers in the box of the shoe. So if you feel like you want to snug up your shoe a little bit, if it's a little bit too loose, you can put this blue filler back into the shoe underneath the insole.
Right. So it's not going to be placed here on top of the insole or the insert, but it should be on the bottom of it.
Correct.
Okay. And that's going to bring the foot up a little bit, fill in space. And then I guess the opposite would be true. If you feel the shoe is a little bit too tight and too snug, you can pull these out. Now, do these come in different thicknesses, or is it just this thick?
We just have one thickness, but there are inserts, or there are fillers out there that come in different thicknesses. Also, this is great because usually our right foot is different than our left foot. One of our feet is usually a little bit wider. One's usually not quite as wide as this foot. So you can use these fillers to customize the foot fit for each foot, for right and left. Also, an orthopedic shoe should have a good closure system. So a lot of times you see that there's laces, or that you have straps that strap the shoe, like this particular one. This particular shoe, this is the 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗃𝗃 Ultra. It has an elastic lace, and it has a strap to secure the heel into the shoe. And we call this our flex fit, or we call it the FX for short. So our FX shoes, so we have many of our shoes are now have our FX closure system, or the flex closure system, so that you just undo the strap, and then it's easy to get in. So you can open up the shoe, you can put your foot in, but then you can also secure the heel in the shoe, so that it's not moving around. So there might be some step-in shoes out there that people like, and they like them because you can step into them. But this shoe, you can actually secure. You have a more secure fit in the heel, and that's important.
So this would be good. So I have a pair of slip-on shoes that got the really strong back, and it's kind of tapered, so you can literally just stand up, slide in. But I don't wear them when I go for long walks, because I still find, and it's a full lace up. It doesn't have the bungee. And even though I feel the shoe is tight, I still feel my foot sliding around in there. So this Velcro, or are we allowed to say Velcro?
Well, yeah, we use
this hook and loop strap.
Hook and loop.
Strap is really designed, as your foot comes in, it's going to push it back, your heel back into the shoes, I'm understanding you, so that your foot is not sliding around while you're walking or daily activity.